Hello, thank you everyone for joining me today for 6 steps to more energy, passion, and vitality for pharmacists. I'm your host and happy retail pharmacist, Mary Sheehan. This is the first webinar I've done in a series of webinar trainings just for pharmacists. So I'm very glad that you have tuned in to listen to it. You are in the right place if you feel frustrated with retail pharmacy, if you feel more like a pillbot than a respected healthcare professional, you feel hopeless, you hate your job. I hear a lot from people that they feel that their career and pharmacy in general really has gone astray and they really want to bring it back, but they're not quite sure how. So if any of those things apply to you, then you are in the right place. And I think that you will get a lot out of this webinar training. So here's what we're going to cover today. We're going to get a lot done and probably under an hour. I know as pharmacists, we like to think of our time in hour blocks. So I'm very aware of that. Like you can take the girl out of the pharmacy, but you can't take the pharmacy out of the girl. So I definitely keep my trainings in under an hour so you can read those things that we are going to cover. So that's 6 things and probably a little bit extra. I tend to over deliver. And I'll let you know too that all of these things are about you, about making you happy, ways to save your energy and time, and ways to connect you with a part of yourself that got into this job in the first place. It's all about you. I will give you as much as I can in this hour, because I understand that while this webinar has no financial cost to you, I'm not charging you to take this training. You're still paying, so to speak, with your time and attention. All right, this webinar had many incarnations and rewrites, but the idea started when I was talking to a fellow pharmacist at a competing store. It was sometime last year, and this pharmacist had just been to a seminar on MTM. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. It's medication therapy management, and this happened to be hosted by a drug company. So a drug company was talking about MTM, and this drug company said to this group of pharmacists that the next big drug was going to be communication. So what they are saying is that we are going to be the next big drug. So it's like instead of antidepressants and painkillers, people are going to want a big dose of you, their pharmacist. And of course, I love this idea of people getting as much out of us as they do their medications. And I thought it would be great for us to get the recognition we deserve for doing this stuff that really is just as important as the stuff that the chemical drugs do for people. Anyway, that is how this whole thing started. And I also think that these kinds of skills are very timely for us as pharmacists, not only because we are going to be the next big drug for people, but for several other reasons. In my part of the country, the Midwest, jobs aren't as plentiful as they once were, so we are much more likely to stay in a miserable job for fear we won't be able to get another one. The economy is still in a recession, and several of the large chains have created what I like to call a race to the bottom kind of mentality, trying to compete only on price and wait times. And we know that this diminishes the value of the profession and it frustrates us. You put in a drive-through and you really do have a fast food type environment. We have to work harder and longer to increasingly do more. We miss talking to people because that seems to be the thing that goes when you're exhausted and overworked and busy. The new grads, and there are tons of them now, have huge debt from pharmacy school. They don't know yet how demanding this job is going to be. And the ones like me and you who have been in practice for 20 years or more, well, maybe you haven't been in practice that long. I've been in practice for 20 years. We are afraid that we may be replaced by one of the new grads because corporate can pay them less. I think one of the best illustrations of this is a pharmacist that I knew named Trish, which is not her real name. Now, she was a brand new baby pharmacist when I met her first, ready to go out there and help people and do all the things her professors told her she would do. She dressed nicely, always had the best scarves. It's great to be a scarf person as a female pharmacist because you get that pop of color next to the white lab coat. Anyway, she was a shiny, happy person when I first met her. Our paths didn't cross for a while, and then I saw her again only 2 short years later, and I hardly recognized her. She was dressed all in black. She had no makeup on, no accessories, no scarf. She literally wore orthopedic shoes and a back brace. She'd gained weight, and she said she felt awful. She had that vacant look of complete overwhelm in her eyes. In 2 years, she went from bright, beautiful, and happy to kind of overweight, slumpy, depressed, and broken. And it was really awful and shocking to see. But when I started talking about what can happen to somebody who's just new in pharmacy, I heard a lot of very, very similar stories. And for me, like I mentioned, I've been a pharmacist for over 20 years. Many of the years were spent in large and small hospitals that had a big focus on clinical services. I've done home infusion and compounding. I was part of a team that put in one of the first pharmacies in a physician's office. I'm on the ancillary faculty at our local medical pharmacy school. I run a local MTM program for senior citizens with a grant from Kaiser where we track outcomes. I've done other community-based things like being a keynote speaker for a prescription drug abuse initiative with the Ohio Department of Alcohol and Drug Addiction Services. But the consistent thing in my career has been teaching and mentoring others with problems both personal and professional. And even in those early days at Metro Health Medical Center in Cleveland, I was doing this. On those slow Sunday evening shifts, the staff would kind of gather, and we had this open forum type of thing where anyone could discuss what they were struggling with. And it could be personal or current event type thing, work-related, anything. Everyone was included, and like I said, everything was up for discussion. So we used to call it On the Couch with Mary Sheehan. The other pharmacists would say that I marched to a beat of a different drummer. And over time, I did appreciate my own unique perspective on life's problems as much as they did. Now with these courses that I offer live in groups, I kind of bring the couch to you, so to speak, and I'll be doing this a little bit in this webinar. So that's kind of what this is all about, me giving you my advice with years and years and years in the field with experience in many other fields as well. And I will be honest with you, though, because I had a clinical background, it did take me a while to get the hang of the retail thing. I had a lot of struggle and failures, but I did catch on to quite a few tricks that I will share with you on how you can conserve energy at work and tap into your passion. Now, some of what I will teach you, I learned from being a patient myself. A few years ago, while headed to work, I was hit by a semi-truck on a snowy highway. I used to say that the only way you will get me in the system as a patient is via ambulance, and that is just what happened. So be careful what you wish for. Now, most of the healthcare workers, the nurses, the x-ray techs, the people who move you around in the stretcher, move you around on the stretcher that spoke to me after my accident was taken immediately to the emergency room, really scared me. And they made me want to crawl out of the emergency room and hope for the best in the snow-covered parking lot. And I will give you one example that goes to communication and how we connect or don't connect with each other as healthcare providers. So now my ribs were smashed up pretty bad. My face was smashed. I was in unbelievable pain by the time I hit the emergency room after they got me out of my car. And this x-ray tech really wanted me to move quickly. Like, I could not move fast enough for this man. Go from the stretcher to the table, get these x-rays done, now off the table to another table, move this way, move that way. He was very backed up, you see, and I needed to move faster. I actually felt guilty that I couldn't move very fast in my current pain-ridden condition. And at one point, he actually stood next to me and tapped his foot, like, hurry up. No offer to help, just hurry up. Now, once I would get on the table and into position, he would run over to his machine, take the x-ray, and at some point while he was over there at his machine, he started complaining about his job. He worked very hard for too little money. The hours were awful. It was just so stressful. So he would go back and forth from rushing me to the next x-ray to complaining about his job. And I remember thinking to myself, my goodness, am I supposed to comfort him? Does he want sympathy for me? And mostly I just thought, for the love of God, Mary, hurry up and move so you can get away from this guy. Okay, so he was just a really good example of what I went through in the emergency room that day. And then on the opposite side of that spectrum was the ER doctor, the guy that was in charge that day, the attending. Now, he had this lovely way about him, very direct. He looked me in the eyes, not in a threatening way, but in a very connecting way. It was like I understood the phrase, the eyes are the window to the soul. And I really never had such an experience of a deep connection with another human being that I wasn't romantically involved with. And even though it's been a few years, I can still feel that connection, and it still gives me comfort. So truly, through that accident, that accident was a huge wake-up call for me. And it was as if everything I learned my entire life had been condensed into this one kind of test, like this understanding about connection and communication and how to help people heal. So during my recovery, I learned what it's like to not want to do what the doctor said, but being afraid he would dump me if I didn't. It was horrible buying into that I'm a victim when I just thought of myself as someone who didn't consider herself a victim of anything. The lawyers wanted me to be the victim. The doctors wanted me to be the victim. I was torn. Yes, I knew I was really hurt, but my health was more important than playing the game. I was so impatient with the process of healing. I wanted my mind back and my body back now. And alas, there are no quick fixes when you just have to heal. Doesn't that sound like some of our patients and our customers and what they're going through? Yes, it does, right? And really what we're going through as a group of pharmacists who are trying to heal our profession in a way. So I reevaluated everything after that. How I viewed my customers, my coworkers, how I talked to people, and what I was doing with my life as a pharmacist. And I also learned what can happen if you don't follow your passion. And I learned what can happen if you numb out to your higher calling. So all that is kind of big picture stuff, and we will touch on a little bit of that. Here is where many of us feel at the end of a workday, in the role of victim. We feel beat up by people, by the physical and mental demands of our job. We feel drained of energy, exhausted, underappreciated, walked on, and beat up. I know I did for the longest time. We tend to drink a lot of caffeine, eat a lot of sugar, and numb out even after the shift is over. We do a lot of numbing, like surfing the web, going on Facebook, online shopping. Some of us may even take our frustrations about our jobs out on our loved ones. I'm going to show you how you can look forward to your day. You will have sustained energy throughout the day. The good vibes will be your new sugar and caffeine, and you will walk out of your shift feeling great because you had fun, felt and heard the words of gratitude from your customers who love you. You will actually have tons of energy left to enjoy the rest of your life, like family and friends and those outside things you do that no one knows about, like improv comedy. All right, let's get to the content. These are simple things I'm going to ask you to do for yourself. Some may not be easy, but they're all simple. And I'm sure I'm not the only one who noticed how complicated life has become everywhere, not just in healthcare. So point 1, what if instead of resenting your job, you could do one thing, one thing every day that would just bring you just a little jolt of joy, and you can. And I call it Get the Thank You. I'm a big proponent of it. I do it all the time. I teach it to every student that comes in my pharmacy. And it's basically this. How many times have you helped someone in the over-the-counter aisle, for example, and then turned on your heel and walked away to get back to the pharmacy before they even get the words, "Thanks for your help," out of their mouths? You've turned your back on them, and you're mentally on to the next task. You missed the gratitude, the love. You missed the connection. So the next time you are in the aisle, say the OTC aisle, and someone says, "Thanks," I want you to stop for just a second and acknowledge that gratitude. Look them gently right in the eyes and say, "You're welcome." Then on your way back to the pharmacy, you can feel how good that interaction was. Time and time again, I witnessed pharmacists not getting the thank you. The interaction is incomplete without it. I myself used to avoid eye contact with people, let alone gratitude. And it may be comfortable at first, but once you do it a few times, you will love the good feeling that it gives you. I've even taken this a step further, And when someone forgets to thank me, I pause for just a moment and look at them, and that usually snaps them out of it. And then they say, thank you. And if that doesn't work, I ask, is there anything else I can help you with? One woman actually seemed grateful that I prompted her for the thank you. We had a nice little moment there in the cough and cold section. So we can't say that people don't appreciate us if we don't take the moments to receive that appreciation. It's there. We need to take it in, really take it in. If you do nothing else different in your day, do this one simple thing. Put yourself out there. People like to give gratitude. It makes them feel good that you accepted their gift of gratitude. To take it a step further, the more you start to tune into all the things that are right about your day, the more right things you create in your day. Of course, because you begin to look for it. Like if you bought, say, a new car, a Toyota, some type of Toyota, and then all of a sudden you see them everywhere. That's kind of how life works. All right, let's move on to some strategies to interact with difficult clients. We all know that someone yelling at you can ruin your day. Why is it that the crabby ones always seem to get to set the tone? It doesn't have to be that way. Now, this could be, and actually is, an entirely separate training that I do in another webinar. And I do spend a lot of time on this when I work in groups with pharmacists, when they enroll in my Leadership Academy. But I'll give you a few things for just a few basic things to help you begin now to start to interact in a different way with difficult clients, customers. Okay, the number one thing is this, and it's a game changer. You must realize that you are in charge of the interaction, not the other person. In fact, the only reason the crabby ones get to set the tone is because you let them by not taking charge of the interaction. Someone has to be in charge. Not necessarily in a dominating or coercing way, but it's really the one that sets the tone, and that can be you. And you're probably the best one to do it. You certainly wouldn't want some of your customers in charge, and yet, by not being in charge, you are by default putting them in charge. The number two thing is to drop the judgment and learn to observe the situation. I've included a number of other strategies and modules like that I teach later in the Leadership Academy, like I said, about how to do that, how to drop the judgment. And I know that is kind of a difficult thing. I know it was for me for a long time. But the best hint that I can give you right now is that the next time you see someone yelling, throwing a temper tantrum, is to try to look at it like he's having an allergy attack. Try to look at temper tantrums and whining as allergy attacks. Now, you can learn to do this. You can learn to observe a person without attaching anything to it. Like we tend to go, oh, they're mean or stupid or wrong or crazy. Just don't do that. Just observe. Now, like I said, this does take a long time to learn, but just that little hint of, just pretend instead of screaming, they're sneezing. It helps take the emotional charge away from you so you don't get so upset, and that upset is just very draining. Okay, so the number three thing to do is to not react emotionally, like I just mentioned, when someone is being emotional. This takes practice. So you make it a rule that no matter what is happening, you don't get to react emotionally to it. It's just that simple. It's a rule. I don't get to react with emotion. Again, it takes a long time to learn. I go into this much deeper with my Leadership Academy training. I tell you the benefits of it are immense. You have a ton of energy left at the end of the day when you're not wasting it and reacting to everything. Sometimes breathing can help, just being aware of your breath. People say sometimes to count to 10 if you feel like you're getting upset. The counting thing I think is a little bit more challenging for me, but I have found that just breathing, kind of, if I need to take a moment, then just take a breath. Then I stop myself from getting all caught up in the emotion of a difficult moment. So now I'm going to tell you a story that kind of demonstrates this. I love this image, this stock photo. I call this guy my alter ego because he's young and tall and male, and I am none of those things. Okay, now this is just a story just to illustrate what I do. I wouldn't jump right into this stuff with just this webinar training, but it's a good story. So it was, I think, sometime last year, we have this regular customer who is always just so dramatic and always yelling and always screaming and always upset. At least she was before this little interaction. So this time it was about her Xanax. She came in yelling that we had to fill her Xanax right away. And this yelling started even before she handed me the Xanax prescription. She was going to the hospital. She needed to take the Xanax. Now, I know it makes no sense. They got plenty of Xanax in the hospital, but it's important to realize that it's important to realize that isn't the point. It's not the point that, that this person should make sense. A lot of people you guys work with and around don't make sense. She has some sort of anxiety disorder, so she's not going to make sense. So lower your expectations. At this particular day, she was more agitated than usual and would not stop yelling in the waiting room for us to hurry up, and that we were killing her and she's going to call the supervisor. And it was just getting ridiculous. So I walked toward her, like in a big way, like very purposefully, very strongly, like I was in charge, started waving my arms. And I addressed the technician who knows my method, so she wasn't freaked out, because this person was yelling in the direct vicinity of my technician, Christine, who happened to be the closest one. So I go over toward Christine, who is right near this patient, and I say, Christine, you can't be chit-chatting. You have to get to work. We have to get this done for this lady. Hurry up and just come over here and get this done. Stop chit-chatting. And the technician knew I was totally backing her up and was just trying to get her away from this woman. So the tech, Christine, she came over back closer to where we were doing the prescription for this woman. And this woman immediately said, oh my gosh, thank you for that. Yes, I feel much better now. And then by the time we filled her prescription, it was only 8 minutes. She was fine, apologized, everything worked out very well. So I kind of want to make some points here with what I did with this woman. I wasn't mad at her. I was animated, not agitated. I raised my voice. I waved my hands. I was matching her energy, but not her emotional state. And that caught her attention, like someone else is yelling and waving their arms about. So it got her to settle down. This idea that we can speak quietly and softly to people that are really upset. I felt, just for me personally, that doesn't really work all the time. And sometimes you just have to kind of match their energy. And I teach a lot about how to match energy in my course. And just another point on that you can do right away is that when you have a bad interaction with someone, or a scene, as it were, don't complain about it or talk about it when they're gone, because that just gives them more power. Like, then they have power to affect your day even when they're gone. And that's ridiculous. I do not give anybody power over my day. So it's done. It happened. Everybody, we could recap. Oh, thank goodness we handled that well. Let's move on with our day and get our emotional state back into a happy place. And like I said, in my course, I do teach other things, other ways to figure out who you can talk to like that and who you can't, how to match their energy. It's definitely an ongoing practice. It applies to a lot of complaints that people have when they're yelling about we're messing up their prescription, their doctor's office isn't doing their job. The positioning is a deeper kind of confidence that I teach. Like, if you can confidently walk up to somebody, that takes time and practice, but I give you lots of real life homework that you can do when you work with me one-on-one or in one of my virtual classrooms. All right, so I can also tell you this for you guys, again, because this is all for you. When you are constantly reacting emotionally, letting people affect your mood up and down, you are raising your cortisol levels. And they've done studies, and they know that when the cortisol levels are high in your brain, you become useless for a while. Like, you literally can't see things. You can't hear things. I mean, imagine being in that state when you're trying to check prescriptions. That is not good. So it really, really is worth learning these types of things that I teach, because you're going to be more focused. You're going to have more energy at the end of the day. You're going to make fewer mistakes. Just the benefits to you are just endless. I mean, and I don't tell you guys and teach to drop the judgment for somebody else, but when you judge somebody, it doesn't feel good for you, and you have to carry that around, and it is incredibly draining, let me tell you, from someone who has spent a lot of energy, life energy wasted judging people. That was probably one of the hardest things that I had to get over. But I tell you, it is so worth learning for the amount of energy that you get back in return. So let's move on from that, on that note, and go to just totally switch gears. Well, that was the summary. Strategies to interact. You're in charge. Important to remember. We'll recap. Drop the judgment. Good reasons for that. You do that for you. Learn to observe instead of judge. Don't attach a meaning to it. And sitting on your emotional reaction. More energy for you at the end of the day. That's why you're doing it, for you. Okay, now we can move on. Had that little recap slide. Okay, point 3, letting go of dread when the phone rings. Now, we've all had these kind of days. I'm sure you have. It's very busy. You're barely keeping your head above water. You're checking scripts, answering questions from your staff, waiting on customers, and the phone rings. And you think, my God, if I have to do one more thing right now, my head's going to explode. Now, this one was a tough one for me too. It was like I would get anxious every time someone said the phone was for me. And I started to realize that it was like a trigger. So then I thought of my hypnosis training, which I've had, and I thought of Pavlov and his dogs. We've all studied that, Pavlov and his dogs. Anyway, I thought, this is the epiphany I had. I will share it with you. There's one of Pavlov's dogs. If I can react one way to the phone ringing, right? Heart rate up, anxious, sweating, anxiety, I can react another way. So instead of triggering anxiety and irritation, maybe I could train myself for having the phone ring trigger relaxation. And that's what I did. Now, to be clear, I use the hypnosis techniques. At home. And so I was practicing this at home and not just like learning it on the job, and using a few tricks that I would teach if we worked together one-on-one or in the class. But I will give you the basic steps so you can kind of play with it for yourself. Okay, so this is kind of like retraining yourself, like Pavlov's dog. Okay, so here we go. When the phone rings or you hear someone say, the phone's for the pharmacist, you stop. And you stop and take one really deep breath. And you smile before you pick up that phone. Do your line, hi, this is Mary. Thank you for calling the pharmacy. I'm one of the pharmacists. And take another breath. So now I used to look forward to practicing this, and then it really worked. Like, I would get all the nice phone calls. I think I started eventually to put out the good vibes with my smile and my relaxation. And now every time, seriously, watch yourself do this. It's so much fun. When the phone rings, I automatically take a breath and I put a smile on my face. It is amazing what you can train your mind to do. Amazing. So one time I remember when I was practicing this little epiphany that I had about retraining my brain. And I was having a bad day, as we all have, and I was feeling not so happy. So I remembered my training. I stopped for a moment before putting receiver to head. I put a smile on my face. I said my line, and the woman said, "Thank you for being so nice. I'm having a really bad day, and it seems everyone is being mean to me." Now, I hadn't done anything except say, "Hi, this is Mary. Thanks for calling the pharmacy. What can I do for you?" It's just amazing, the power behind the words. Remember that. You shift your attitude and your thoughts and your tone, and it really has an effect on the other person, which has an effect on you. It's like this good circle of good feelings. Okay, so my wrap up for that is just understand there's real power there. And I know it seems like it's like kind of on the surface, but really training your mind to react a different way to the phone is pretty cool. And you can do it. I gave you the steps. You hear the phone or you hear someone say it's for you. You stop, take a breath, put a smile on your face. Can you hear the smile? I'm smiling now. Put a smile on your face, say your line, take another breath. You train yourself. And again, it's another good way to decrease your cortisol levels at work. All right, let's move on. 3 ways to look forward to that busy Monday. We love Mondays, right, you guys? Especially Mondays at the beginning of the month. And they really get a bad rap. They do. And in fact, even more heart attacks occur on Mondays than any other day of the week. And that's just not heart attacks for pharmacists. That's like across the board. So we're not the only ones that kind of dread our work week. Nobody wants the weekend to end. I think really that we can turn it around. I think we have to turn it around. So I give myself a little perspective shift. I give it to you. Since it's the busiest day of the week, usually, there will be more people to interact with. So if you're sad because you don't have the chance to talk to people anymore, it's a good day for you because your chances of getting to know someone a bit, of helping someone, of having a nice connection goes up with the numbers. So here's what I call my Monday tricks. Here's the 3 Monday tricks that we'll cover in this training. And here's how this started. Here's another epiphany I had. I was reading this email sent out by corporate, and they wanted us to talk up a cost benefit savings that we were offering. And the email ended with this line. This is a direct quote. "The last thing we want to do is offer our customers a benefit, not tell them about it." And I thought, oh my gosh, but how many of us do just that about us? How many times do I offer someone a benefit of having me for their pharmacist and they don't even realize it? And my corporate office said that's the last thing I want to do. So I said, yes, corporate office, you are right. Tell your customers why you are valuable to them. This would be the benefits of you. We do a bad job at this. We need to become joyful self-promoters. We complain about having to fix doctors' mistakes. Easy trick. And all the other things we do. We do so many things. That's just one thing, fixing doctors' mistakes. So take the things that you personally complain about, fixing a mistake, calling on drug interactions, whatever it is, and turn it into a way to promote yourself. It's fun. It doesn't have to be flashy. No one is going to tell the public all we do for them. No one. We have to start explaining our value. They aren't going to guess. So next time you do something, tell your patient that you did it. Doesn't have to take a long time. Do it. All right. Tell 3 customers the benefits of their prescription medications. I just give myself numbers. I have a goal. If I'm going to have fun today, I'm going to explain to 3 people the benefits of their medications. So just people need help realizing the benefits of their pharmacists, that we're not just pill counters with our heads down counting by 5s. We actually do a lot of things for them. They need help to realize the benefits of what they are buying when they get their scripts filled. So I always tell people, you're not buying little blue capsules or little white pills, you are buying results. If it's a little blue capsule like fluoxetine, you are buying the result of a lighter mood, more happiness, more ease, going through a difficult situation, for example. With diabetes, the little white glipizide, you are buying the potential to keep your vision and legs. Pick a disease state, something you're passionate about, and switch up the way you talk about the drugs used for it. Talk about benefits. I see people do this all the time, and some pharmacists have even started little side businesses on this with blog posts or ebooks. Countless other things that you can do about different ways to talk about medication to bring the passion back to your business. And this is how people feel when they are your patients, your customers, when they aren't invested. And you have the power to get them invested. And isn't a invested, responsible customer the kind of customer you want to serve? Yes. Let mail order have the ones that aren't invested or passionate about getting to wellness using the system. I want the ones that look like this. Okay, so I think the only thing that I didn't cover here, you're going to start talking to customers about the benefits of having you as their pharmacist. You're going to tell people the benefits of their prescription medications. And then just to give you one extra one there, help someone evaluate their expectations of the medication. And I do this a lot with, say, someone who is starting an antidepressant. I want them to realize it's not going to solve their problems or be used for, or have a good result for something that's not pathology for grief. And again, it's just something that I do to kind of get ahead of the curve, because what's going to happen, I believe, is that we're going to see a downward shift in how people perceive prescription medications. Now that we're all starting to catch on that there's no magic pill, people are going to get really mad about that. So I'm trying to set them up for realistic expectations. And again, I get some criticism like all I do is talk to people and I'm not checking prescriptions. Not true. These are just goals I set for myself. I don't do everything every single day. Obviously, these are just hints for you, ideas for you, ways to reconnect to yourself and to your customers. That is really what this training is all about. All right. Here's some more fun things that you can do. Proven ways to have tons of fun while on the job. All right, so let's see what we have for that one. Celebrate success. I am a big, big fan of this. And I'll tell you, the people who love their jobs used to really annoy me. I wanted to be that person that I wanted to be that person that loved their job. And I wasn't. And I think getting hit by the truck was really key to helping me reconnect with what I loved about being a pharmacist. So something else that I came up with when I was starting to think about like the whole wellness revolution and alternative medicine people and how they get people excited about wellness and get them on board to taking their supplements or going to their Reiki sessions or whatever they do. I wondered about, how that applied to me. So I purposefully looked at my day, say I started with hypertension. And I said, all right, as I'm checking these prescriptions, if I see a dose decrease, say for lisinopril, so they went from 20 milligrams to 10 milligrams, I'm going to flag that script and I'm going to go talk to that person. And not to talk to them, to lecture them or tell them about side effects, but just to say this, my goodness, I see that your dose was decreased. Why is that? And they would say invariably, well, I lost weight and my blood pressure came down. I changed my diet, my blood pressure came down. And I would just take a moment to say, oh my gosh, that is so great. Congratulations. Good for you. Some people, I would even give them a high five. And that was so fun because it's like you become this like wellness coach that is all the rage, you guys. Everyone is a wellness coach now. And I'm thinking we should be the wellness coaches because we know so much about chemistry and medications and wellness and the whole thing. So really, really fun to celebrate success. Any way I could do it at work, I did it if I felt like it, just as another thing that I threw in my day for fun. All right, let's see. What else do I do to have fun at work? I reward customers all the time. Corporate, our companies feel like rewards can only be or should only be financial, like coupons, discounts. I disagree. I think verbal rewards are so meaningful to people. So when someone calls in their prescription refills early, you can say, thank you for the lead time. We really appreciate it. People love to feel like they did something nice for you. And then you can train them that way. I've trained, it takes time, obviously, but many of our customers call in their refills early now because we've trained them. We give them the verbal reward. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. All that stuff. Really fun to do. People love it. You feel good when you do it. Another thing I like to do is talk to kids. This may not be for everybody. I like it. I love to talk to kids. I give them, when I mix the antibiotics for the kids, I tell them I mixed some special medicine just for them that'll make them feel so much better. Sometimes I tell them they're lucky to have a mom or a dad or a grandparent that cares so much about them to give them good medicine. Kids are so just open, and they're not jaded and they're not bitter and they're the best. They're the best to talk to because they are generally pretty happy. And I love it. It's fun. And I know it's not for everybody, but I enjoy it. This is another something that I do when I really need a boost of good feelings at the end of my day and I want to give myself a little extra treat. And it sounds counterintuitive, but like I work these long 12-hour shifts, and at the end of the long 12-hour shifts is when I do this for myself, because it really makes people feel good. And here's how I do it. I find things, I jot notes throughout the day. If something went wrong during the day or there was a hassle, I might call that person to say, oh, I know you had a hard time today. I know something didn't go your way. I'll give you an example. We had this one dad that had to wait a pretty long time to get this clindamycin prescription clarified for their child. It was written for the liquid, or no, it was written for a capsule, and we had to get it clarified, and was it liquid? It was just so hassle after hassle with the doctor's office, hassle after hassle with the insurance company. The dad was really upset because his little boy was sick, had this very strange inflammation of his gland, and you could tell he was upset. It was, like that first time when your kid's really sick, how freaked out you are. And so he was pretty patient with us, and everything worked out. And I remember calling them that night just saying, how did the dose go? He ended up opening the capsule. Did your little boy take it? Was it okay? I sure hope he feels better. And it just felt really good to do that. They hadn't answered the phone. And then the next day, no, it was, I think 2 days later, the mom called me to thank me for the phone call. So that was like the nicest thing ever. It felt so good that someone was concerned about her child. It was just really, really nice, because I got that feeling at the end of that good feeling at the end of my long shift. And then 2 days later, the mom calls to say thanks. What a great day. 2 great days for one follow-up. There you go. We've got to lead the people. We've got to teach them how to treat us, teach them to call in early. Teach them that when they do something good for themselves, like lose weight or take their medicine when they're supposed to, that's a good thing. All of that kind of creates good vibes in your pharmacy, makes the people like you, then they treat you better. It's just a really good cycle of positive energy. So there's the summation of that, of point number 5 there. All right. Celebrate success, reward customers, talk to kids, and do follow-up. Again, like I say, don't do these all every day. I might do one a week. I might do one a month. This is just ideas for you, ways to just give yourself some joy jolts back into your very difficult and challenging workday. All right, this is what I think it's all about. I think it's about building that tribe of customers. Like, let the crabby pharmacist down the street from me have the cranky customers. I want to attract the good people. I want my days to be good. I want to spend, to do certain steps every single day to make this happen. Is it a long journey? Does it take time to build a tribe of loyal customers? Yes, of course it does. But every journey starts with some steps. So you must take some steps. And basically, I think what's happened to us when we don't do this is we grow to hate the public. And we don't want to see anybody. And we wish we had a closed door pharmacy with no phones ringing and no customers coming in. And then we could get some work done. But that's not going to happen by accident. You have to build this tribe purposefully, like I said. All right. So remember how we said at the beginning that we were going to be the next big drug. Okay. So I think we might be thinking about this backwards. I encourage you to change. We're thinking about it backwards like this. Like, we think the world is going to change, and then we're going to change, and then we're going to love our jobs. That's not how the world works. You have to change first, and then over time, your customers will change. So the mean ones will move on, like I said, down the street to the cranky pharmacist, because they don't want to be around you anymore. You're going to attract the nice ones, and that's just the way it works. So for you to think that you can keep hating and resenting the people and have them in turn love and respect you, it's not going to happen. And that's really good news, because it means you're in charge. It's not going to be instant, but it will happen. I've seen it time and time again with the dozens of people I've trained in my pharmacy and all over the place. And, during my individual consults with pharmacists or my group training, we do have reports back from the pharmacists that they are shifting things around at work. Things do change. They attract good people, and the cranky ones move on. Here's a hint for this, though. The best the best customer of all are the harried mothers, is what I call them. Women are the primary consumers of healthcare. They pick the doctors, they decide on the care everyone will get in the household, they decide on what pharmacy to shop at, and they tell their friends. I take really good care of women, especially the working moms. When I mix the antibiotics and give it to the mom, I look right at the kids and say, you have a good mom who gives you good medicine that will make you feel better. I look for any excuse to tell a mom they're doing a good job. Just the other day at the drive-thru, a woman comes up. I forget why we were putting a counsel sticker on. Something about some 2 doses of antihistamines or something like that. Anyway, it really didn't take long before she kind of opened up about how challenged her life has been with this little boy. I mean, not only does he have multiple allergies, but he has autism. He's got some degenerative muscle disease. I mean, it was really, you could see what a challenge this was. And I looked at her right in the eyes, across the glass, through the drive-thru, and I said, you are doing a great job as a mom. And she got tears in her eyes. And I think that these women don't hear this. It's really hard to be a working mom. Maybe some of you pharmacists who are listening to this are working moms. Isn't it hard? These women, they really undoubtedly can be your best customer. And I love to make them feel better about what they're doing and how they're doing, and just give them any little piece of encouragement I can. It makes me feel really, really good. So that's my best hint for building a tribe of loyal customers, to start with the ones that are the best, the harried mothers. And I have a whole booklet on the harried mother, which I will tell you about in a little ebook. All right, so back to the beginning. Why did you sign up for this webinar? Now, many of you have a sense that there is power to be used, and there are ways to make it better at the ground level. And you who have the sense of that, you're right. We've got to stop waiting for someone else to swoop in and make our lives easier behind the counter. A movement doesn't happen from the top down. It happens from the bottom and spreads. So I am going to talk to you a little bit about the Leadership Academy for Pharmacists and why I created it. Basically, for you, to help you rekindle the passion for your profession, transform your customers, and feel renewed at the end of the day. Is that something you want? Yes or no? I think all of us would say yes, that is what we want out of our days and our careers, really. What I teach in my course is to help stop complaining customers. I teach you really interesting, practical ways to thrive in emotionally charged situations, ways to set up your day for happiness and fulfillment. We didn't go into all that in the webinar. I can only do so much in a webinar. You know what I mean? There's just so much. I gave you a lot, but it's just a taste of kind of what I'm about and what I teach. And I really do help people reconnect with their careers and why they got into it in the first place. So if you are someone who really wants to take this kind of thing to the next level, and you realize that energy is just not going to fall from the sky, that you can cultivate it, you can get a boost from your customers, you can be just like that emergency room doctor was for me, you can go to prescriptionsforhappiness.com/CH, which stands for Career Happiness. And there you will find a little survey, a questionnaire. It's going to ask you questions about your work, your current work situation, what you like about it, what you don't like about it. And then you also put in your name and a contact number. And I will then call you and we can have a little one-on-one, like half-hour strategy session, see if I can offer you any more ideas for your particular work-related issues. And then we can see if my Leadership Academy is a good fit for you. And they're ongoing. I'm constantly teaching. These courses are basically online, live. And if you can't miss a course, they are recorded. So I would just kind of plug you in to where the course is. And some pharmacists want to work one-on-one with me. I've done that. Here's a lovely pharmacist that I worked one-on-one with. That is how she preferred to do it. So I can do that as well. But we do want to have you fill out that survey to see if it's really a good fit, because you want to know, we want to see I want to see what your real problems are and how we can best address those to bring you closer to having some joy and happiness and sense of passion and purpose at work. And Monique did a wonderful job. She's got a job she loves now. She's really come into her power. I'm just really proud of her. She was a lovely little student. All right, so let's kind of break through basically what I teach in the Leadership Academy. There's general modules, and module 1, you begin to feel more control and more comfortable at work. That's the benefit of module 1, and the dread starts to lift a little bit. We teach you how to get rid of the triggers, things that really bug you, be it the phone or a certain type of person that tends to push your buttons. I begin to help the pharmacists drop the wall. We tend to have walls up around us that we've developed over time that we use to protect us from the negativity and the horrible situation that we find ourselves in. So I teach a lot of good techniques about that while still keeping you incredibly protected. We don't want you to be be a target for people. That's it. Have a target on your back. We don't want that. And then techniques that act like anxiety receptor blockers. So that would be the things that we cover in module 1 to give you guys an idea of what the course would be like, the Leadership Academy course. And again, you can go to prescriptionsforhappiness.com/CH to fill out the questionnaire if you want to talk to me further about this, if you want to take it to the next level. In module 2, we go to more into the emotionally charged situations, and we learn in module 2 how to master conflict. It's such a big, big problem and something that really bothers a lot of us at work and at life, right? I teach you how to set yourself up to win, and a win is really a win-win. Everybody wins. Go into some more techniques about turning enemies into allies, enemies even being coworkers. We do get into that a little bit in the course because what I found is a lot of pharmacists come to me and there's workplace issues, not just with customers, but with coworkers. And I teach you my lovely energy matching system that I gave you that little example in the training today about the lady with the Xanax. Module 3, we begin to reconnect with your purpose and passion for pharmacy. You begin to use your words like the perfect drug. I teach you how to plan your day, your week, your year, your career like a vacation. And we together collectively take the passion producing initiative. That's a little series that I take you through to really help you plug in. And just so you know, these modules are offered at many different times. I know your schedules are crazy. Mine is too. They're about an hour long. Again, we like to think in those hour increments. We think and work in those hour increments. Here's not a pharmacist that I worked with, but a nurse. These things work for everybody. This is actually a picture of him on the wall. He won Employee of the Year shortly after working with me. He was always a really good worker, though, to be in all honesty, really good worker, but exhausted at the end of the day. So I love what he said about me having a less is more approach. I absolutely do, and I'm incredibly focused on solutions and very, very simple solutions that work. Lovely testimonial from Nurse Greg. Okay, module 4. It's about creating a culture. It's what we want, right? We want to work in a different kind of culture that is supportive and unified, where everybody trusts everybody, where you really lead the team and the team wants to be led. That's the best, because it really kind of leads all to that. So those are the basic 4 modules in the Leadership Academy for Pharmacists, which you can go to prescriptionsforhappiness.com/CH to fill out a questionnaire where you and I could connect one-on-one to see if this is right for you. I've also included, I teach you my 3-question rule, which I didn't even touch on, which is a fallback, 100% works every time on how to help you when you're at a loss for words. I have my ebooks that have an in your own words section, which we teach you in the course how to work with that. I've got the 5 ebooks that I've created that you will get with the course. Here's a pharmacist that I helped, which is a little bit different. He does work behind the counter, but also wanted to start a health coaching business. I think a lot more of us should be doing this. anyway, was able to really help him. Oh, so I have the wrong link on that. Ignore that, rxforhappy.com. I didn't get that slide fixed. So there's Dave, pharmacist from out west. Oh, I've already mentioned that. My ebooks. I wrote 5 ebooks that are really incredibly supportive for this course. And they give you words to use and scenarios and statistics and perspective enhancers. Wonderful little ebooks that you also get as part of the Leadership Academy for Pharmacists. I guarantee my program, obviously, I want my work to stand on its own, to be of value to you. That's really one of the main reasons that I have us talk one-on-one to see if it is a good fit, if you're going to like to work with me, if I'm going to like to work with you, and then we kind of eliminate the need for, we eliminate disappointment. Nobody wants to jump into something that they're not going to feel that they're going to get a lot of value out of. We're already doing that at work, a lot of us, right? So this is a little bit different. So just to let you know, I do back up my stuff. I'm the real deal. I deliver on what I say I can deliver on. I can get you there if you want to go, meaning I can connect you back to your passion for pharmacy, have you have energy at the end of the day, give you all really great practical tools that you can use to have more energy and happiness at work. I absolutely can do it. The stuff works. If you're willing to work, I'm willing to teach. And I can say thank you again for listening to this training. Again, if you are interested in learning more, going deeper with this, prescriptionsforhappiness.com/CH. And we finished in under an hour. Thank you very, very much. You guys have a good day at work the next time you go to the pharmacy. Bye-bye.